Tennessee versus Hernandez Govan, count 1. We, the jury, find the defendant Hernandez Govan not guilty in count 1 of the indictment. State of Tennessee versus Hernandez Govan, count 2. We, the jury, find the defendant Hernandez Govan not guilty in count 2 of the indictment.
Okay, let's get straight to the point. Let's talk about this Young Dolph trial out of Memphis, Tennessee. But we're not going to talk about the verdict because we already know, and I just played the clip, Hernandez Govan, who was on trial for allegedly putting all this together to get Young Dolph shot and killed at Makita's Cookie, he was just found not guilty. And we can see right here in this picture, he has tears of joy after the verdict was read. Now, of course, in the streets, this whole thing allegedly started over supposedly beef between CMG, Yo Gotti's label, and PRE, Young Dolph label. Now, of course, Young Dolph made a diss song that was public. He not only named Yo Gotti in the song, he also named Yo Gotti's brother to the left, Big Jook, who was also, his name was brought up as the one who basically financed the hit on Young Dolph. Now, like I say, to the right, that is Hernandez Govan. He has been found not guilty. But right here in this picture is Hernandez Govan team of lawyers who took this case and basically got him a not guilty verdict. So what we're going to talk about is, though, why did the lawyer even take this case? And the one where I'm talking about is back into the back. Manny Aurora, who is from Atlanta, Georgia. ATL shouted. We're going to talk about why he took this case because if you don't know, if you ain't already seen the interviews on the news clips with Hernandez Govan and the lawyer, Hernandez Govan said he didn't have any money to even cover the expenses for his lawyer. But his lawyer and them did it anyway. And I'm going to get into the reason why they took this case on. Let's get into some news clips. Let's go.
I just want to say thank you to my attorneys, Manny, Robert, Haley, Beth, Handel, my private investigators, everybody for helping me. I didn't have the resources to necessarily, cover everything, and Manny still helped me, and he knew I was innocent. Everybody around me knew I was innocent. I just want to say thank you to the jurors for getting this right and getting my life back.
And that's the main thing.
Ms. Aurora, do you think this verdict will change anything with the court system here in Memphis?
I'm not here from Memphis, but if this is a microcosm of what's going on, then you should all be worried. And maybe we should be digging into these things and figuring out why so many people are in jail, why we keep them without bond and force them into pleas and things of that nature, and why investigations aren't always there. Thankfully, my office has the resources to help these types of people and can spend the money to do it. I can only imagine how hard it is for the public defenders with their cases or other appointed lawyers that couldn't do this, and how many people shouldn't be in prison.
Oh, back in December, is that the reason? Obviously, you advised your client not to take that plea.
That's always his decision. I don't advise him to do anything. They always say, what would I do? And I'm like, I'm not serving the time, so I have no idea. I can't go through that stress. You can't duplicate that. I mean, I love the man. I believed in him. That's why I took the case, and we fought like hell for it. I'm grateful that the staff stayed with me. I yelled at them a lot this week and put a lot of pressure on them. We worked long nights for the last few months. We filed, I don't know how many, 24 motions, most of which were granted, which never happens, but it was so obvious we were right, and yet still we have a case. The government just can't ever admit that maybe there isn't anything here. They'll just prosecute, and then blame the jury if it doesn't go your way.
Mr. Aurora, the law enforcement experts that testified this week, they said several times that they never spoke with Mr. Mims, but they never really gave a clear answer as to why. Why do you think that is? Because
they're not telling the truth. They never went out to go talk to him. And to say that, oh, he would have just gotten a lawyer so we didn't bother, are you kidding me? Everybody gets a lawyer if they're smart as far as that goes. But they've threatened other witnesses to come in and say whatever. Your question should be, what about all the people after the fact that helped? If, assuming the man was shot or was given clothes or they went to this apartment or somebody helped him escape to Indiana, what happened to all those people that were supposed to be charged? What about all the people in the text messages where I showed you blatantly they're talking about shooting people and shootings happened? Nobody's indicted. What about the guy that carjacked the Mercedes, Treon Ingram? He's not charged with anything. He's picked up a subsequent murder since then. So you explain to me how that is. And then when they say in their closing statement, the gall of it all to say we can't arrest everybody, yet they're running 14 and 15 defendant RICO cases. I mean, just come on. It's they made up their mind. Juk wasn't going to get charged, maybe because he was going to get fancy lawyers that could see through all this BS. I don't know. They have all the texts.
Or maybe it's something darker.
And you came from where, Jackson? I'm sorry.
I'm from Atlanta, is where our
Atlanta.
office
And
is.
then this was a Shelby County jury.
Yes.
Correct. Okay. Triple
Yes.
check.
Yes.
Is there a reason why you didn't request a jury from out of town?
Because I think the case was so bad that Memphis juries and people that live here need to see what really happens. And so I don't need to play games and get somebody from out of town. The Memphis people need to see what happens in Memphis.
Now, like I said, we're going to talk about why this lawyer took this case. And right here is the reason. So you see DJ Vlad. You know, VladTV does a whole lot of interviews with everybody on YouTube. But now, shortly after Hernandez Govan was found not guilty, Vlad had posted this right here on his YouTube channel. He said Hernandez Govan first interview after being found not guilty of orchestrating the Young Dolph hit. Govan's lawyer, Manny Aurora, also joined the conversation during the trial, part of the interview, only on VladTV. Found not guilty, and immediately one of the fastest interview ever. After he just got released, he's out there in California filming, doing YouTube videos with Vlad, which we know is going to have a lot of Vlad going to ask the question that everybody want to know. But here's the thing. Here's the picture that Vlad posted to roll out this interview. This was kind of like the advertisement for it before it dropped. And some of the parts have been dropping. But you see right here, his lawyer is in this picture. You got Vlad to the right, Hernandez Govan in the left, and we're going to talk about that what's on his shirt. And we got his lawyer, Manny Aurora, right here. He is out there at the interview with DJ Vlad and Hernandez Govan as well. So what I'm saying is this. Brian Steele, when you had Young Thug trial, Young Thug was a high profile name. And he ended up, getting his 15-year, I think with probation or whatever, house arrest. But still, a lot of people in the trial got off. And Young Thug, people look at that as he got off. What did that do for Brian Steele, the lawyer? It catapulted his name to the next level. He became so popular, even when he went to jail because he wouldn't give up some information that he knew that the judge or whatever. People was like, man, Brian Steele, that's a lawyer. You have a lot of other entertainers, celebrities, not just rappers, anybody that can find themselves in a tight situation. And one thing they definitely going to need is a lawyer that has a reputation. And once Brian Steele had that reputation, guess who ended up calling him for his next trial? Diddy. Diddy ended up hiring Brian Steele to be a part of his team of lawyers. Why do you think Diddy did that? Not because he just knew Brian Steele. He see that Young Thug was facing a RICO, and whoever the lawyer was that got Young Thug out of that situation, bring him up here to New York to work for me. And that's the reason why. Popularity and reputation. And also Brian Steele, he is everybody's going to be calling him. And guess what? This lawyer is from Atlanta. Y'all heard him say it in the video. He's from Atlanta, Georgia. Why would he take on a case? Hernandez Govan don't have any money. Why would he take on that case pro bono? Because this is a Young Dolph trial. The lawyer's in a win-win situation. He can't lose. If Hernandez Govan was found guilty, it wasn't going to hurt the lawyer at all, period. Nothing, but he probably was still going to get some interviews for people wanting to talk to the lawyer about the whole case and how everything went, because Hernandez Govan would have been locked up. But here's the catch. If Hernandez Govan gets found not guilty, Hernandez Govan not only going to benefit from doing VladTV interviews, and they already have a lot of stuff lined up with No Jumper and everybody, but the lawyer, as you see as well, is going to be a part of that process. So what happens now? You never heard of a Manny Aurora from Atlanta, Georgia, but now that he is the lawyer that got Hernandez Govan off the hook, clear and free of the whole Young Dolph hit, this lawyer name is now a reputable lawyer with that popularity. And guess what? In these YouTube streets, this digital world we live in, that lawyer is going to get a lot of phone calls of people wanting to talk to him about how he felt about the case, why he felt Hernandez Govan was not guilty and knew that he was going to be not guilty. All of that is going to come to play. And that is the reason why DJ Vlad has him out there for an interview. Because what we live in now, YouTube is TV. People want to see what happened and want to hear people talk about it. And doing these podcasts and the YouTube interviews is the quickest way to do it. And this lawyer, and Hernandez Govan, is finna rack up 6 figures easily within a month off doing these interviews. Easily. Now, some people jumped in the comments and said this. Vlad picked him up, took him to McDonald's drive-thru and went straight to the studio. Because people saying how fast this was. Somebody else said, damn, that was quick. Did he even get a home-cooked meal? Because it's like he left the courtroom and went straight to the airport. Somebody else said Vlad was waiting outside the courthouse. And then someone else said, dude left the courthouse, went straight to Vlad. This is the fastest interview I ever seen after someone get released. That's what I just said. The fastest. Now here's the thing. Let's get to this right here. Because people also heard Hernandez Govan say in his news interview that he was going to be leaving Memphis. Now, some people are saying, oh, you know why he's leaving? Because he's scared. Well, look here. Hernandez Govan has on a shirt for this rollout of this VladTV interview, and the shirt say Free Kendrick Watson. Some people are like, who is that? It's this guy. This guy right here is from Memphis. And he is not a pushover. He is a street guy too that just recently got hit with some football numbers. I mean football numbers. He's gonna be going away for a long time. But like I say, this guy is a street dude. So Hernandez Govan, leaving Memphis because he's scared. Look, at some point of age, you gotta just leave stuff behind and move on. And that don't mean that you're scared. You're just trying to be the bigger person. Be like, look, let me go. Because Hernandez Govan wearing a Free Kendrick Watson shirt and with the background that this guy has, Hernandez Govan allegedly might be still connected. Now let's check out a clip of Kendrick Watson that he did with a podcast out of Houston called I'm Done in Houston, because this is going to get into a little bit of why Kendrick Watson just got hit with a lengthy sentence, football numbers, and going to be gone for a long time. At least something happened. Let's get into this. Let's go.
I was involved in what they call a big drug trafficking organization down in Memphis, Tennessee. But it originally started right here in Houston. So the case it was a marijuana cocaine case, but it started with the wiretaps. And they had wiretapped my phones and stuff like that.
Memphis man has been sentenced to 45 years in federal prison for drug distribution and gun possession. The United States Justice Department says Kendrick Watson was convicted by a federal jury last Thursday. According to court documents, law enforcement intercepted a package of cocaine sent from Houston to Watson's home. Officials also found firearms, drugs, and drug distribution materials inside the 44-year-old's house. Watson was designated a, quote, career offender for his prior criminal convictions here in Memphis.
So as you can see, the Kendrick Watson guy received 45 years. And I want to say he just got that last year in 2024, for something that transpired between Houston to Memphis. But like I say, this guy, Kendrick Watson, wasn't no pushover. He was a reputable street guy out there in Memphis. At the end of the day, no matter what city you go to, there's not going to only be one guy from the streets that don't play. There's going to be multiple guys. It's just some of them might be low key, some of them might go under the radar. You don't know until you push those buttons, and then they got to show you. Like I said, Hernandez Govan, a lot of people can tell that Hernandez Govan was a street dude. He even wrote a message a while back when his daughter was shot and killed in Houston. He was like, he think his life and his decisions, basically was kind of like leading up to the reason why his daughter, who was a rapper, was shot and killed. At the end of the day, has he completely left the streets? Has he moved on? Who knows? Recently he got out, he had a thing with Hernandez where he was on their YouTube, but some people feel like that maybe was kind of staged. Hey, but they did the numbers. And the thing about it is, selling something on the YouTube street is what you got to do. You got to give people the reason to come watch. And Hernandez and that back and forth that he had with Hernandez Govan, that definitely made people want to come watch. Because definitely when he did the VladTV interview, they did like 248,000 views in almost like a couple of hours. And probably going to be in the millions. Why? Because this is fresh. Even though Young Dolph situation happened back in 2021 in November 17th, still, it's 4 years later. And now with him being found not guilty, platforms are going to bring him on. Regardless if they were fans of Young Dolph or not. They're going to want to hear his story. And that lawyer is going to probably get some calls from some other entertainers and say, hey, how much you charge? Y'all get in the comments what y'all think. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like and share this video. I'm Dirty Mac. Holla.